The purpose of this presentation is to give you a sense of the understanding of technology that informed this course. Technology has not had the same effect on schools as it had on other aspects of our life. Businesses, banks, and corporations operate very differently than they did 20 years ago. Schools have been less affected by the technology revolution. The impact of technology on schools is growing. There are three ways that technology can help change schools for the better. The first is teacher productivity. The second is the ability to facilitate learning. And all of this is leading to a restructuring of the academic environment. I'm going to talk about each of these points in some depth. First, tech tools can help many aspects of a teacher's job easier, but it's also the first area where teachers become comfortable with technology. Teachers have become fluent with computer applications that help with administrative duties, and then they often find ways to use the new tools with their students. Teachers use technology to keep records, increasingly not just text records, but also images and videos. Many schools are incorporating digital portfolios as part of their student records. And just the ability to create and save documents and presentations has made the job of teaching easier. I, for one, have become a much more organized teacher thanks to digital tools. Technology can be a great tool for collaboration. Teaching has traditionally been a solo effort that takes place behind closed doors. Email and other collaborative tools have helped make teaching a much more collaborative effort. There's a wealth of resources available to teachers through technology. Student resources, complete lesson, and unit plans are available online. Here are two exemplary teacher resources that offer detailed plans and student activities. Technology can also open the classroom to greater parental involvement. Tech tools can make it easy to share what's happening in the classroom and give parents tools to extend learning outside of school. And while tech has been a big help to teachers, that's not the real reason for the billions of dollars of investment in educational technology over the past 15 years. That money has been spent on facilitating learning. It has been spent in hopes of facilitating learning. And I believe that tech can facilitate learning in ways not previously possible. It's very important to consider the possibility that technology brings to the classroom. Computers allow me to do things in my classroom that were not previously possible. I'm going to speak a little in detail about three ways that I think that tech can facilitate learning. First, the ability to collect information. Second, the ability for students to communicate and collaborate. And third, the ability for students to analyze and apply information. Tech tools can help students collect information from websites, databases, and videos. It's also possible for students to collect science data. Tools such as a sensor that collects temperature over time can help students not just study science, but work as scientists. Technology can also bring real-world data to students. This website, called Valley of the Shadows, offers students access to a wealth of primary documents from two communities on opposite sides of the American Civil War. An able teacher can construct powerful lessons from the data the raw data that's freely available here. Technology can also help students communicate and collaborate. Tech tools make it easy to build learning tasks around projects. Students can learn about a concept and then communicate that knowledge to others. It's a very powerful form of learning and one of my favorites. Students who create projects that are shared with others, that's someone besides just the teacher, are generally very engaged in creating the projects, and they take ownership and pride in their work. Digital tools make it easy to construct those projects and then share them beyond the classroom. Take a look at this brief student film that explains a rather difficult scientific principle.
Hi, I'm Devin.
And I'm Ashley.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Amber.
And I'm Kara. Today we're going to teach you about the Bernoulli principle.
And all we're going to use is a piece of thread,
2 ping pong balls,
tape and scissors,
and a puff of air.
First, cut 2 pieces of thread 4 feet long each.
Next, attach the ping pong balls to the thread with your tape. Then, take the other end of the thread to the ceiling so that the balls end up to be about 1 inch apart.
What do you think will happen when you blow between the balls?
They'll fly apart, of course.
No, they're going to click together. Well, why don't we just find out? Can I see that one more time?
I told you so. But what happened?
When you blow between the ping pong balls, the rapid flow of air reduces the pressure between the balls. This creates greater air pressure outside the balls, which forces them together.
See, I told you. Why don't you try it? Okay, I will.
Here's some more examples of the Bernoulli principle.
The flame spin in because of reduced air pressure, and the wing lifts because of the same reason.
So the Bernoulli principle explains why aircraft of any sort can fly.
And that
is the Bernoulli principle.
And although this film was made a few years ago, I've got no doubt that if you encounter these students today, they would be able to fully explain the Bernoulli principle. Perhaps unlike their grade or age peers who merely read about it in a textbook. I believe the decisions that they made in creating this project, the decisions about how to best to communicate their ideas, resulted in very deep learning. And finally, tech can help facilitate learning through the analysis and application of information. Many tech tools can help students make sense of the world and the wealth of information available to them. Here's one example from a project that I've done with 8th grade students, where they look at the gold medal winning times and distances in the modern Olympics. Here's some data from the men's pole vault. The students took the raw data from a website, plotted it in an Excel document, and then tried to note the improvement over time and also explain the rationale for the improvement, like that jump in the pole vaulting distance in the early 1940s. This ability to analyze information and apply to other situations helps students to construct personal knowledge, sometimes referred to as constructivism. So what this is leading to is a restructuring of our schools. And as a veteran teacher, the word restructuring is very familiar to me, because over the past 30 years, there have been many attempts to restructure our K-12 environment. And in almost all cases, teachers have persisted in teaching in the manner in which they were taught. Technology is forcing change and is truly restructuring our schools. We're moving from a classroom that is teacher-centered, one where the teacher delivers a set of curriculum content, to one that is more student-centered. We're moving from students memorizing facts to students being able to be problem solvers. And from a classroom that is essentially, or from a student who is essentially classroom-centered, more towards a student who is more world-centered. This short film from the George Lucas Educational Foundation will give some examples of how these changes are taking place.
People have been integrating technology in the classroom forever. What I think is really exciting about what we're seeing now is that technology is being used to fundamentally transform what the classroom is, fundamentally transform what you can do with the classroom.
I think to define technology integration, it's really using whatever resources you have to the best of your abilities. Technology, it's a tool. It's what you do with that tool, what you can make, what you allow the students to make. That's really what technology is about. If you can do this lesson without technology, that's great. But if you can do it better with technology, then that's why you use it. That's why you use tools.
This is a list of different applications that you can use to make music or do art. I've used it to record some of my personal narratives that I've written.
My eyes were drooping. I was drifting off to sleep.
Students today are creating using digital tools. They're not creating using analog tools. For us to feel like we really are connecting with our kids and to make learning fun for our kids and meaningful, we need to meet them where they are. Kids can create podcasts, movies, songs to express their ideas, express their thoughts, but also to express their learning.
When you create, you take ownership of your learning. You understand it in a very different way than if you just memorized something from a textbook, or if you just read it over and over again, or watched it in someone else's film. If you were able to translate that information into your own film, your own content, your own something to share, that's just amazing.
And sometimes they learn things we didn't expect them to learn. Like I had my second graders reflect on the project they did, and some of them said, I learned how to get along with somebody, or I learned how to work with somebody. This internet thing that has become a big part of our lives, it's really enabled people around the world to connect in ways we never imagined.
People always say that the kids respond better when they're able to share their work. Well, of course, because they have a valid audience. It doesn't go into a pile on the teacher's desk and then get handed back to their folder. Kids today can create stuff and share it with the entire world. And they have that authentic audience. They have people that actually not only will read it, but also care about it.
We have to make a movie project, so you you have a topic, and with your topic you speak into a microphone, and then you draw pictures to go with what you're saying.
If they have the link to our website, which they might end up getting by searching something on Google, and then this might pop up. And so yeah, there is a chance of kids around the world, getting to see these videos.
The traditional academic model that we've inherited from the Prussians 200 years ago is we have a set amount of time to learn something, and then there's an exam. You get a B, I get a C, even though the exam identified that you have some basic weaknesses, I have even more weaknesses, we'll then move on to the next concept. So instead of doing that traditional everyone move together in lockstep model, with technology you have the potential to everyone learn at their own pace and master concepts before they move on. Have the teacher get real-time dashboards to see who's stuck on what. Something like that is a fundamental transformation of what a classroom is.
The role of the teacher has shifted. I'm truly seeing a world where the person who's in the role of teacher is really a facilitator. And if you can facilitate your students to create great work and work alongside with them to do that, that's amazing to me.
It's not about the mode of creation, it's not about the tool, it's about the learning, it's about the process, it's about the look on my students' faces, the fact that they can stay focused, motivated, engaged, and they're sharing ideas. Really makes learning joyful.
So this is what I think education should look like, and this is a list from an author. First, education should be learner-centered, rather than centered on the teacher or curriculum-centered. Should be centered on the learner. Secondly, we should strive to develop a critical awareness in students, so that they think about what they're learning and how that fits in with what they already know. The best learning happens when students are engaged, And perhaps one of the best things that technology does is engage students. Students should also be able to work collaboratively. I think students learn well when they work with others, and it's also one of the goals of the 21st century learning, is that we're able to work together collaboratively. And education should also feature authentic learning. That means that the students understand why they're learning something. They see the meaning of it, perhaps in the larger picture of their lives, but also perhaps in the moment, that it makes sense to them, whatever it is that they're learning. So, in spite of all the promises of technology in schools, there still are some harsh realities. You may have encountered a classroom that looks like this, a computer sitting in the corner, unused. Incorporating technology into schools has not been easy, and there are several reasons. Some of these were offered in a famous article by Glenn Kleiman. First of all, teachers often have inadequate training. We're busy as teachers with lots to learn and lots to do, and it's hard to keep up with the latest changes in technology. And schools have not done a good job of providing teachers with that training. Also, hardware support is inadequate. In school systems, it's easier to provide money to purchase the hardware. Providing support for it is more difficult, and nothing's more frustrating than having a computer that doesn't work and no support for repairing the computer in your classroom. And third, it's difficult sometimes to find supporting software or resources or online sources for the exact thing that you want to teach. They're difficult and sometimes hard to align with the standards. We'll look at some possibilities for that in this course. Another author who's dealt with the inability for tech to take hold in every classroom is Larry Cuban, who continues to write. A lot of these ideas are based on a famous book called Oversold and Underused. And his view is that schools have not been transformed yet by technology, that computers are unreliable, complex, and classroom use is subject to political and organizational constraints. And yet there's still no strong evidence to support the integration of technology, even when it's done on a one-to-one laptop, with a one-to-one laptop initiative. And now, that being said, technology is now a standard teaching tool. It's expected that all teachers are able to employ it as a tool when needed, and it's why you're taking this course. Questions about the effectiveness are difficult to answer with researches, and we may never have a definitive study that proves the effective role of technology in the classroom. But it is an effective tool, and as a wise teacher, you'll find ways to employ it when necessary in your classroom. And also for you as a teacher, there's additional value. It's an answer to the pressure from the outside, from parents and from the corporate world, that we should be using technology in our classrooms. And it's a tool that we should be using, and students need to be comfortable with using technology. It's also an opportunity for innovation for you as a teacher. There are lots of grants available for you to make use of technology in your classroom. And then there's the students. The students who come to us today have grown up in a digital world, and they expect to use digital tools, the same tools that they use outside of class, because they make sense to them. They spend much of their lives in a digital environment, and they have a hard time understanding why we're not using those same tools inside the classroom. And we're faced with students who bring their own tech tools to the classroom. How long are we going to be able to ignore the tools that they have in their pocket? As the technology tools improve and the web gets faster and more applications are developed and hardware tools change, no matter how we access the information and activities, it'll always be up to the teacher to design those educational activities. And finally, this is an artist's conception of the web. Each little point of light representing a piece of data, an image, a video, or text document, or web page. How will you and your students take advantage of and add to this web of human knowledge and experience?